a 25-point lead, 19-point lead, and in week 3, a 16-point lead. Why do the Falcons keep blowing these big leads? What is wrong with this team? Imagine making the Super Bowl in 2017 and only making the playoffs 1 year after that, and not looking so good to start this season. They're 0-4 to be exact. They're not that horrible this year, at least in offense. They look pretty good. They're 8th in yards and 13th in scoring. They were 6th before week 4. But they've allowed the 2nd most yards and the 2nd most points on defense. That has been the story for the Falcons for the past few years. The injuries to Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, and just Vic Beasley, who's no longer a team, not living up to his standards from his 2016 15.5 sack season. The defense has not been good by any means, and running back Devonta Freeman also had injury issues that ultimately led to his release after 3 underwhelming seasons, while the 2 seasons prior to those, he was a Pro Bowler. These factors obviously affected the Falcons the past few years, but there's one thing I think really hurt the organization. Super Bowl 51, 28-3 lead. I think that game alone has had an everlasting effect on the Falcons, everyone that has ever been involved in the organization, and culture. Definitely took a huge mental hit for all the players and coaches. I mean, they only had 1 winning season since then, so definitely is stuck in their mind, especially after week 2 and 3. The Cowboys game was just playing out terrible. They should have and easily could have recovered the onside kick, but instead, the hands team had a staring contest with the ball instead of grabbing it to seal the victory. The Bears game was also atrocious. Big Richard Nick Foles came in and just tore the defense apart for 20 unanswered points in the 4th quarter alone. But hey, that's what Nick Foles does, I guess. Disappointment is not new to the Falcons, but to this extent, it may be. Week 4, they played the Packers, and they lost 30-16. Playing against a good offense like the Packers kills the Falcons because, as I pointed out, their defense is horrible. They've allowed 13 passing touchdowns, 1,793 total yards, having only 7 sacks and 26 penalties, all through 4 games. The run defense has not been as bad, as they're middle in the pack in that category, but a bright spot in that defense is still just mediocre. This is mostly due to Dan Quinn and defensive coordinator Raheem Morris. No matter where the other team is field position-wise, they run the same plays from the Seattle scheme Quinn ran. Their zone coverage scheme clearly is not working, especially with the personnel the team has in the secondary outside of Keanu Neal. Going off of that, stuff like that shows why Dan Quinn needs to be fired at this point. He's simply not a good coach. His only good season was when they had offensive guru Kyle Shanahan as their offensive coordinator, who's also known for blowing leads. I do not think Quinn will be fired during the season, as that will leave Atlanta with an interim head coach from the coaching staff who most likely will not be all that good. But if they fire him in the offseason, there's one person this team needs to hire. Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. According to Bleacher Report Gridiron, Kansas City players rave about Bieniemy's leadership and ability to cultivate a culture, and the lack of a strong culture is one of the main things tearing down the Falcons team. Also, firing Raheem Morris will help them a lot, but I do not know who they could hire to fill that hole. One person who comes to mind is Giants defensive line coach and senior defensive assistant Brett Bielema. He's been a coach at the NFL level since 2018, but was a college coach from 1996 to 2017, when he was a head coach from 2006 to 17. Definitely has the experience to be a good defensive coordinator for a team, but who knows if he has the right scheme. But at this point, all the Falcons do is find out. They have nothing going for them on the defensive side of the ball, so why not try out an experienced guy who seems fit for the job? As for other candidates, there's Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. However, I do not see him leaving San Fran anytime soon to what they have going on there. He would be an amazing fit as he helped turn the 49ers defense from middle of the pack defense to top 2 in the league, without injuries of course. There are some other coordinators like Greg Roman who I could see being in the mix for the Falcons, but again, like Saleh, there's no shot of them leaving their current gig, at least in my opinion. Now for the Falcons for the rest of the season, all you can hope is that we turn around quicker than last season. 2019, the Falcons were 1-7 to start, but ended up going 6-2 in the last 8 games, finished 7-9. Yeah, it's not a good record by any means, but going from potentially the worst team in the league to looking amazing seemed like a good sign. If their defense could turn around like they did in the second half of last season, Falcons will be unstoppable. Their offense is great with former MVP Matt Ryan at the helm, throwing to Julio Jones, the best wideout in the league, young star Calvin Ridley, as well as Todd Gurley out of the backfield. Their offensive line has played well, allowing 9 sacks through 4 games, with 4 of those coming on Monday night against Packers. All those games have been against teams that have a pretty good pass rush, at least on paper, the Bears and Cowboys. With an offense like that, they should be winning games. They simply cannot due to time management, end of game scoring, coaching, defense, and just simply not responding well to pressure. Now, as I'm writing this, Packers game just ended. I want to bring up the poor performance by Atlanta in the Monday night game. Falcons just lost to the Packers 30-16. This was just a horrible performance by both sides of the ball. The offense, at least in the passing game, cannot get anything going as Matt Ryan did not throw a touchdown, but Ridley was playing hurt and Julio left the game early. But again, the defense is the story. 403 total yards allowed and 30 points. It's hard for an offense to get going when they have to score every time they get on the field, and it's near impossible for them to win when that happens. Watching this game, there were definitely some key takeaways. The Rodgers-Robert Tonyan connection is unstoppable. Packers running backs are very good at the whole football thing, and Dan Quinn clearly is not the coach of this team. With everything going on in Atlanta, culture change is needed. Dan Quinn, see you later. Please, Atlanta, do what is right. Bill O'Brien can be fired, Quinn can too. However, even with me saying that, like I said earlier, he'll probably not be fired during the season, most likely after the season. To finish off this video, Atlanta's big problem is their defense and coaching. Defense is really banged up, and when it gets healthier, maybe it'll be not as bad. But allowing almost 400 yards per game is not acceptable by any means, no matter how bad your defense is. Talent may not be there for that side of the ball, but there also needs to be some schematic change that I do not see happening with the head coach and coordinator they have currently in place. The offense is fine, just banged up in week 4. If they didn't put up the numbers we should have expected them to. Once the receivers get healthy, probably by next week, they'll be completely fine. Through all their struggles, I can see Atlanta picking up at some point. Definitely not making the playoffs, like I almost said in my 1-minute take on the Low Quality Sports Show. Go check them out, by the way. But finishing anywhere from 6-10 or 8-8, which will still be a huge disappointment to Atlanta fans for the 3rd season in a row. With all that being said, that is it for me, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Fanatic Sports and getting me to 100 subscribers. Hope you all liked the video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the like button. It only takes like 2 seconds. Also, follow me on Instagram at FanaticsSports25 and on Twitter at FanaticsSports. Now, before I head out, how do you think Atlanta will finish the season? Is Dan Quinn going to be with the team until the end of the year?